Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Langer at the mic Montreal Canadiens post-game show. And the Montreal Canadiens, they're in the Stanley Cup Final, but they lose game one, 5-1 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And this was just this loss was like okay, going into the series against the Leafs. I obviously dislike the Leafs. Don't like the Leafs because they're the Leafs and they're fans and all that, and also bragging rights. But I had some sort of level of respect for them, for like the hockey team, the organization, the players. I had a certain level of respect for them. The Winnipeg Jets, going into that series, Habs swept them, but I had a certain level of respect for the Winnipeg Jets until obviously what happened to Jake Evans, and I lost all respect. But the Habs just, wiped the slate, just brushed them away like, bunch of like termites, just exterminated them in 4 games. So it was irrelevant. Vegas Golden Knights, Habs lose game 1. But again, I maintained a certain level of respect for them. Again, the players, the team, maybe not so much their fans. They're fans. They have some good fans, but also they have not been through enough to be complaining about heartbreak and all that. Yeah, okay, they lost in the playoffs, but you've been around for like what, since 2017, 2018. So suffer a little bit before winning. But again, in terms of the players, organization, I had maintained a level of respect for the Vegas Golden Knights. Tampa Bay Lightning in this game, this is like, I feel the same way right now as I did when the Habs played the Boston Bruins in 2011, 2014. The same way when the Habs played the Philadelphia Flyers also in 2010. My blood is just boiling right now because of not like the players, that organization, and the fans. Just the fans cheering Brendan Gallagher falling backwards on his head. And I understand, okay, it happens with the way Brendan Gallagher plays. Like the Habs are trying to stir the pot. They're down late. They're down. They're trying to make stuff happen, FS up, in a game that's pretty much lost. So, okay, Sergachev, former Canadian, obviously, tackled Brendan Gallagher. We'll get to Randy, your comments in a little bit there. But obviously, yeah, tackled Brendan Gallagher. But Brendan Gallagher fell on his head. And his head was bleeding. And it was clear that his head was bleeding. And Tampa Bay fans were cheering that. And the Tampa Bay Lightning fans, for some reason, they're booing every time the Habs carried the puck up on the power play. I don't know what that's about. Just, again, I'm not going to get bitter over the $18 million of the salary cap because, yeah, it's cheap. But you know what? Again, I'm not going to be out here sounding like a Leaf fan or a Jets fan or a Golden Knights fan or whoever tried to make all the excuses for the Habs not, being here. So, yeah, I'm not about to make all those excuses. But what I will say, though, is with the way, like, just the Habs, I guess, look, maybe also you could say, look, the Habs are trying to play their tough whatever game, and Tampa stood up to them. You can say that as well. But just, again, the fans, the 18 million over the cap and all that, just, I really, man, Kucherov with the little, just overselling penalties, which, again, some of them were legit penalties, but him overselling them, of course, acting like a little Tim Stützle out there. Tim Stützle, world-class diver on the Ottawa Senators. We all know that. But, yeah, just, anyway, I really just, this was a loss where it's like, again, I just lost. I feel like I did against the Bruins when the Habs played the Bruins in 2011, 2014, when the Habs played against the Flyers in 2010. I haven't felt this feeling in a long time. And it's only one game. Let's be real. It's game 1, and it's a game for feeling each other out, But now the Habs, they have to win game 2. They have to bring it back to the Bell Center with a split in the Stanley Cup Final right now. Let's talk about the hockey before I get to your comments, though. And I don't think I'm going to go too long here, just because I think like a lot of us here are just kind of in the headspace of just, delete and on to game 2. And I kind of want to take that approach as well in this post-game show. But first and foremost, the Armia situation. So Yesterday morning, like all of us, I had my first good night's sleep in a long time, and I wake up to a notification from Score Mobile saying that Yoel Armia is in the protocol and, not in practice, and status for games 1 and 2 questionable. And we had this whole discussion on the podcast yesterday with Sheldon Weisberg and my friend Paolo D'Souza and Sheldon Weisberg, or also known as Max Pacioretty and Stanley Tucci, but whatever, check that out. And we talked about how Jake Evans coming in for Yoel Armia might not be that big of a deal. Might not be that big of an issue. And I'll be honest, I was kind of wrong. I think just Jake Evans was not the same presence as Yoel Armia was on that trio. And I feel like the Tyler Johnson and Pat Maroon and Ross Colton line outplayed that fourth line for most times when they were on the ice together. And another thing that I did not, but yeah, anyway, so Armia, though, flew in on a private jet today on game day, flew in, was at the rink, and I think even took warm up, but did not play tonight. I guess just because they felt like the fact that he wasn't in practice and wasn't part of the game plan, blah, blah, blah. Maybe that's why. I don't know. But I'm sure Armia will be good to go for game 2, assuming, knock on wood, any further, if no other COVID issues arise, which I guess you could say anytime. But yeah. And early on, the Habs, just what drove me nuts in this game, and I think just it's pretty plain obvious, but we'll have to talk about it anyway, is the Canadiens just all 3 of the first Tampa Bay goals were started by misplays at the Tampa Bay blue line, because Braden Point, Anthony Cirelli, Yanni Gourde, those guys are what they are really good at is playing a 200-foot game, but also on the transition. Kind of, I think, like Randy mentioned the other day. Really good on the transition. So Braden Point cuts off a Nick Suzuki pass, I think, intended for Caulfield or Toffoli, whoever it was. Starts the rush, feeds Palat and Chernak in the neutral zone. They give and go up until the rush. And here's what bothered me, though, is that you had Jeff Petrie, I think also Joel Edmondson, but Cole Caulfield and Tyler Toffoli, 4 guys back in the vicinity of Chernak and Andre Palat, and had the potential opportunity to break up the play, but did not. And that was an issue that we saw with the Canadiens in the regular season, just not being able to play to defend the rush. And I might be answering some of your questions there, Randy. Again, we'll get to all those comments in a little bit here. But yeah, that is what bothered me, is that they just misplayed that rush. And it was a good play, good shot pass by Andre Palat to Eric Chernak, who is a defenseman joining the rush, tipped it past Carey Price, won, I think, Tampa. Okay, whatever. 1-0. Not the best start. And then in the second period, look, Price was good in the first, settled things down for the most part. And the Habs, look, again, after 1-0, after one period, 1-0, wasn't the worst thing. Wasn't the worst hockey game. Tampa only outshot the Habs 7-5 also in the first. But then the second period, and also the Habs had to kill off a power play where Price had to make a couple of big saves. Also, Deneau had a really nice stick on the give and go between Kucherov and Stamkos and Point. And then they got a couple of really good chances early on in the second period. But then what happened was eventually the Yanni Gourde goal, where it was, again, another turnover at the Tampa Bay blue line. It was, I think, Gallagher turned it over. Rush came the other way, started by Blake Coleman and Barclay Goodrow and Yanni Gourde. They came back the other way. And the initial shot got blocked by Ben Sherratt. So I looked at this play again. So Ben Sherratt picks up his man, or blocks the shot initially by Barclay Goodrow. John Merrill picks up Yanni Gourde going to the net. But Blake Coleman, the third guy, once again, I think it was Gallagher and Kotkaniemi who were a little bit late getting onto the back check and could have tied up Blake Coleman's stick, but did not. And you could also argue John Merrill should have done a better job boxing out Yanni Gourde, who ended up getting the deflection past Price. So it's 2-0 at this point. And Vasilevsky, let's be real, Vasilevsky had to make some big saves when this game was still relevant. Shea Weber with another breakaway, his second breakaway of the playoffs, dating back to the breakaway that he had in the Winnipeg series in game 1, I want to say, of that series. And I mean, it's Weber, not Caulfield or Toffoli or Suzuki or whatever, but Vasilevsky's, to his credit, still had to make a really big save. And then Price also had to make 2 really big saves, one on Tyler Johnson, one on Steven Stamkos to keep the game 2-0 at that point. And Killorn also had to have a really nice block shot there. But then the Josh Anderson line went to work with Byron and Kotkaniemi, and that led to Ben Sherratt's goal, assisted by Shea Weber and Kotkaniemi. Sherratt, his first career playoff goal, and also his first, after hitting the post earlier in the second period there. And Ben Sherratt had a second playoff goal, which we'll get to in a little bit. But that was just great, a great shift by the Kotkaniemi, Byron, Anderson line that led to the Ben Sherratt goal from the point. A pinball shot off of former Montreal Canadian draft pick Ryan McDonough and Anthony Cirelli. But yeah, that made it 2-1. And Gallagher even had a breakaway after that, but it was a really nice flip pass from Arturi Lehkonen. But just Gallagher ran just out of space there. I think it was McDonough or Savard, I forget who was on the back check there, just took away all the space from Gallagher, who had to settle for like a bit of a weak backhander, and Vasilevsky had to make a big save there. But anyway, then the third period, the disgustingly disastrous third period, starting with the Ben Sherratt trying to glove it out of the crease, and that's where he scored a second career playoff goal. Kucherov threw it at the net. Sherratt tried gloving it away. It looked like Palat got a stick on it at first, but it was Sherratt that essentially tipped it in on Carey Price. Then look at my notes here. Yeah, then there was just stuff started getting ugly after the whistle. There was a good fourth line shift. That's where I feel like at this point in the hockey game, Perry, Evans, and Stahl combined for a really good shift. And but then Braden Point scored off the faceoff. Sorry, not Braden Point. It was Kucherov, I think, but Point got maybe just a very slight tip of it. But at that point, yeah, just a faceoff win by Braden Point, clean faceoff win, a great shot by Kucherov. Petrie was a little bit late getting a stick in the lane there. But then this is where, at this point in the hockey game, I started getting really, really, like I said, with my blood boiling, seeing Gallagher getting tackled by Sergachev and Coleman pushing his helmet off. I understand, look, Gallagher's being annoying and tough to play against, but just to see that happen and then the Tampa Bay fans cheering and all of that, like that just got my blood boiling. And maybe I'll calm down a little bit in game 2, especially if the Habs start winning in the series. But just the way that whole couple of seconds was really, really tough to watch and really, really got my blood boiling, like I said from the top. And then there was Kotkaniemi taking a big hit from Chernak, which was a good, solid hit. Kotkaniemi got called for retaliating. But then Yanni Gourde, again in front of the net, took a couple of, I mean, look, Edmondson deserves getting penalized for the roughing there. But anyway, just really got annoying at that point in the game. And yeah, and then Stamkos scored, and that broke a streak of, 32 straight kills? I think, yeah, 32 straight penalty kills by the Montreal Canadiens. So if there's one thing that we can be impressed by, is that the Canadiens made 32 straight power plays that they've killed off until Stamkos scored a goal in garbage time. So yeah, at that point, the game was pretty much lost. And yeah, a couple other points here I want to get to before getting to your comments real quick. Tampa Bay, what is concerning or frustrating is that Tampa Bay blocked a lot of shots in this game. 1 by Chernak, 2 by Stamkos. So that's 3, 4, 5. Look at the score sheet here. 7, 9, 11, 10, 12, 11. Sorry. Yeah. Wait, hang on. Let me try that again. My math is a little bit off right now. Let me try it again. 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 shots blocked by the Tampa Bay Lightning. And they also out-hit the Montreal Canadiens in this one by a amount of, or actually the Habs got the slight advantage, 58-57. So Tampa Bay, again, the shots blocked are frustrating, of course. So it just means, look, the Habs have to do a better job of getting pucks to Vasilevsky, who, even though he takes the bottom part of the net away, I said this in my Habs intermission shows on Twitter live, but here's the thing with Vasilevsky's butterfly, it's a very wide butterfly. So it's not so much like this, it's more like that, which means that if pucks deflect off of it, what happens? Well, rebounds. So that means the Habs have to do a better job getting to the net and being ready for those rebounds. And yeah, and that's how they overcome the blocking shots issue. Another thing is Tampa Bay, Luke Richardson had a difficult time. I don't know if it's because of last change or just not enough attention to detail. The Habs did a much better job in the Toronto series, in the Jet series and the Vegas series of making sure that the Danault line was matched up against Matthews, was matched up against Blake Wheeler and Kyle Connor, and then matched up against Pacioretty and Stone and Stevenson or Nicolas Roy or Nosek or whoever was set, or Stevenson, whoever was setting that line, but who cares, because Danault shut them down. But in this game, I don't know if that was a matter of not having last change, or Richardson not doing a good enough job getting with the matchups, or John Cooper doing a really good job with the matchups, but for whatever reason, the Habs could not get the Danault line matched up against the Brayden Point Kucherov Palat line, and it hurt them in this game. And then also Suzuki had to draw that matchup, and then Gord got, or Danault got the matchup against the Yanni Gord line. And I feel like the Danault line being a team that or being a line that has to outwork more talented players, that thrives on that, doesn't exactly thrive on being against the line that they have to outwork, as we saw all regular season against the Ottawa Senators. So, Habs have to do a better job, or ideally, even in a situation where they're on the road, have to find a way to get Danault matched up against the Brayden Point line. Like I said, a lot of bad turnovers at the Tampa Bay blue line. I did like Gallagher's game tonight, but I really hope that he's not concussed from falling on the back of his head and bleeding from getting wrestled down by Sergachev. Anyway, let's get to your comments now. A lot of comments from Randy here. Let's try to knock down as many of them as we can. In morning till Wednesday from Randy N. Look, whatever, just carry on with our day-to-day lives. On to game 2. So many times the game 1 has been lost, but Habs or whatever teams have come back from being down in game 1. Look at the Colorado Avalanche against the Vegas Golden Knights. Habs just have to bounce back, get back to their game plan, and force Tampa to play their game instead of playing Tampa's game. What's it called? Caulfield, Suzuki looked vulnerable defensively. And like I said, they're good offensively, but if they're going to be against the Brayden Point, Kucherov, and Palat line all the time, well, that's not ideal for Caulfield and Suzuki and Toffoli. Kucherov sold that penalty on Sherratt. Look, Sherratt did get away with a bit of a punch to his head, but a la Euro 2020, again, this is all from Randy coming up here. Kucherov just selling penalties is just whatever. You could argue players do that all the time, but Kucherov, I feel like, does that a lot. So whatever, that's annoying, and the Habs are going to have to deal with that in this series. Here's Sarah A. Or first, Tampa scored on turnovers by Habs and face-off loss to Kucherov's point-blank goal. Yeah, like I said, just plays at the blue line. The Habs are on the rush. They have to do a better job at being more playing with more conviction, or rushing with more conviction, and not hesitating, and allowing Tampa to create turnovers at the Tampa Bay blue line and creating the rush the other way. So the Habs have to do a better job being more assertive when they're entering the Tampa Bay zone. Sarah A. Respect for the Leafs. Wow, I'm shook. How could you not respect the Leafs with the regular season that they had? But we quickly learned how relevant that is in the playoffs. So anyway, Randy, and do you think the NHL will have talks about loopholes in the salary cap? I think what's fair, although I think the Habs are over the cap by a little bit, but certainly not by $18 million. But that's more based on, I'll have to double check this, but that's more, I think, based on sheer numbers and roster size, and also the Black Aces, the AHL guys skating with the Montreal Canadiens, during the playoffs, right? So, or the guys that I guess will have to step in a desperate emergency situation. But yeah, in terms of LTIR savings during the regular season and being 18 million over the cap right now, I don't know if that could get changed under the current CBA. But if it can, well, perhaps it should. But again, don't want to make too many excuses here. Just because Tampa either way is going to have to break that up in going into next season. So with the off season that they're going to have. So anyway, Sherratt barely touched Kucherov, even though intent was there. So like I said, Sherratt deserved at least one of the penalties that he took there, but Kucherov just oversold it a little bit, which is, I guess, just annoying. Randy and Habs, again, need to shoot more on net. I think they had about 20 shots or less. I'll give you, they had 19 shots on net. So 19 shots on Vasilevsky is not going to cut it, plain and simple. Sheldon Weisberg, this Lightning team not only kept their sticks in position disrupting plays, but also that fire wagon brand of hockey that is known to throw other teams off. And yes, like I said, look, Habs are going to try to rough it up, but Tampa is also capable of playing that, game, that physical, blocking shots, hitting type of hockey as well, on top of the star power that they have. So the Habs are going to have an answer for that in some way, shape, or form. Randy and Armia creates more chances. I agree. Armia was part of creating chances when he was on that line of Stahl and Perry, but I don't think that Armia being out would have helped the Habs win this game tonight. Honestly, it could have got them maybe another goal, but they still lost 5-1. So I don't think Armia being on the fourth line would have helped the Habs that much. Randy, and what adjustments do you think Richardson and Ducharme will have to make? Honestly, I think it's more on the players just not turning pucks over at the blue line. That's it. Like I said, just being more assertive, entering the Tampa Bay zone, and just making a quicker play instead of, taking time of space that they don't have, because their forwards do a heck of a job, like Braden Point on that back check, like Yanni Gourde. The Lightning do a great job back checking and taking that away. So the Habs have to be aware of that and be more assertive when entering the Tampa Bay zone, like I already mentioned. Where am I? Might have lost my place here. Excuse me. Oh yeah, here. Did I read Sheldon's comment? Yeah, I read that already. As much as Habs were shooting high, most shots were not on net. And yeah, like the Habs did miss the net a lot early in the first period, which to me, I don't know if that's a matter of just being a little rusty or just not being in the series yet, or just a matter of maybe thinking like Vasilevsky, you have to take the perfect shot on net to beat him. But I don't care, whatever it is, the puck has to hit the net. And just worst case, again, even if Vasilevsky takes away the bottom part of the net, again, look at his butterfly, how wide it is. So that means great opportunity for rebounds unless he starts actually deflecting pucks into corners. So they also have to be ready to follow up on some second chance opportunities. What's it called? Like I said, I read that already. Why is Merrill playing with Romanov when Romanov can easily play better? At this point, look, Romanov, I think that ship has already sailed for Romanov to get more playing time in these playoffs. The coaching staff, they're just going to roll with Merrill over Romanov and Kulak, which is what it is. And Gustafsson, of course, is good on the power play. So I'm not really going to argue that too much at this point. They made it to the Stanley Cup Final with it, so it is what it is, and I'm not going to say too much more about that. Like I mentioned, Sherrod already had a poster for his goal. Felt like Anderson was the number one threat offensively tonight. Anderson did have a really good game tonight. Anderson did have a couple of good drives, a couple of good shots, a couple of good chances. He only played 13 minutes, though, but he had 8 hits and 2 shots on net. So Josh Anderson was very much involved in this game when he was on the ice. Gallagher was just standing in front of Vasilevsky, not even slashing or anything. I mean, look, Gallagher did early on push the pile a little bit or try roughing and pushing the pile a little bit. So that was on Gallagher early on. But besides that, sorry about the friggin' camera here. I don't know what's going on here, but it's been acting up a little bit lately. I got to get a new one soon. But again, I came all the way to I did Lightning Game post-game shows all the way to Stanley Cup Final with these